Hello, and welcome to Alcohol-Free Radio. I'm your host, Chris Becker, and I'm excited to have you join us. Whether you are new to the amazing and growing alcohol-free community or someone who is already familiar, we hope you enjoy our program. This is where you can hear from some people making a real difference, whether as brewers or producers of amazing beverages, influencers in the community, authors, storytellers, and more. We aim to break it down and bring it all together. Our goal is simple: to build awareness about this great community and to help make alcohol-free fun, easy, and tasting great. So here we go. Enjoy. Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode of Alcohol-Free Radio. I am excited to introduce you in a minute to Jonny Stevens. So if you were listening in or kind of keeping up with what's happening here at Better Rhodes in the last week or so, we announced that the Better Without app, a single stop where you can get all the information, kind of an authoritative source for alcohol-free beverages of all categories, and also where you can get those products and purchase and seek reviews. Lots more to come. It's really a platform. The Better Without app, Jonny Stevens is the founder of that. Started originally in the UK. So we have brought Better Without into the Better Rhodes team and family. So we're excited about that. This episode is Jonny and I talking and hearing his story about his background and how he came to even conceive of the app, and a little bit of a chat about where we're going to go from here. So we hope you enjoy it. I was hoping to have this podcast with Jonny regardless, but now that we're a team, I'm even more excited to bring this to you. So enjoy. Thank you. Hi there, and welcome to this episode of Alcohol-Free Radio. As I did mentioned in the setup, I'm super excited to have Jonny Stevens here with us for this episode. As I mentioned last week, Better Rhodes and Better Without have now joined forces. More on that maybe later in the segment, but really, frankly, Jonny was somebody I wanted to have on the podcast anyways. We've been working together on various things and getting to know each other really as part of the alcohol-free community for at least a year, if not more. So this has been something that I was excited to do, to talk and hear, and I think getting everyone kind of just into the story of how do you come up with the idea and then actually launch an app where it's a one-stop shop for everything you'd want to know about alcohol-free. And it's really just a piece of a longer story. So with that, welcome, Jonny. Thanks for joining the show.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So who is Jonny Stevens? Where did you come up with the idea? But even how did you get to that point? I know you've got a lot of experience in hospitality and restaurant, which is a key piece of kind of what you've done. So I'd love to just hear a little bit about yourself, the bio and the background, and then also the experience you've had that led you to Better Without.
Yeah. So my background, I left school when I was 16 and I absolutely didn't want to continue education. I was very entrepreneurial. I was selling on eBay from about age 12, and for me, anything other than education. I like learning through real world stuff and just getting out there and learning. So I left school and I went to a college in the UK that was run by someone who is on Dragon's Den, a bit like Shark Tank in the US.
That's right.
And so there's a chap called Peter Jones, and he had this school, and it was all for entrepreneurs, and you went there and you ran a business, and all your coursework was basically what you needed to run a business. So your business plan, your finances, everything. And we got to meet some amazing people, and some real entrepreneurs, and met people like Richard Branson and
oh wow,
so real
that's amazing,
all sorts of people. And then I sort of had that moment of, okay, I now probably better get into the world of corporate. and ended up joining a bank, got sort of headhunted for that. And then I got bored, and for me, it wasn't, I didn't want to be working for a big organisation or anything.
Not much better than school, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. But the reason I joined a bank called Metrobank, and it was set up by an American guy called Vernon Hill, who set up Commerce Bank. I think it was Commerce Bank.
Yeah.
And he then came over to the UK and he set this bank up. And again, for me, my sort of entrepreneurial mindset was going, oh, this sounds fun. This sounds like something that's growing. And then so I left there, and I probably did what you really shouldn't do, which is left there with nothing else to go to. So I left, and I'd also just bought a flat, which was not a great idea. I don't think my parents were too impressed. Leaving a job.
Not going to school, not finishing school, joining a bank, leaving a bank without another job, getting a flat.
Yeah, it's I'm selling myself well here, Chris, aren't I?
Well, I think it's common where a lot of there's many stories like this that usually lead to some great things. So yeah, I think you are.
It's so I left there, and when I was at school, I'd done some work experience for a company who had a software in the hospitality industry. So they had a whole inventory management and all that type of stuff, and I basically got picked up by them to cover someone's maternity leave.
Okay.
And I think they were doing me a bit of a favour having just left the job. But I proved myself there, and their sales manager left, so I became the sales manager, and then ended up becoming their sales director, so sat on the board. And one of my I'm not your typical traditional salesperson. For me, I'm relationship builder, and that that's how I like to use the network in that way. And so I worked, we grew this company, and then I got headhunted for a startup that had just launched, and it was all to do with allergen information on menus. It was all to do with basically connecting, systems have grown so much in the restaurant sector, and whether you've got Grubhub, whether you've got your till system, suddenly you've got massive amount of admin work, and this system basically brought it all together. And we basically grew this company from, I think they had 3 clients up to 30 odd. Basically, most of the high street chains using this system, and it was amazing. Wow. It was 2.5 years of just great fun. And I love food, and I love the food and drink, beverage industry, the hospitality industry. I just think it's it's a massive. It's been a massive part of my life in terms of working alongside it.
Okay.
So then, this is where Better Without comes in. So I'd always wanted my own business. I think you'll probably know, one of the biggest pains for an entrepreneur is you trying to come up with an idea. And the harder you try to come up with that idea, the harder it is to get that idea. The
more elusive it can be.
Not helped by people go, oh, you're very entrepreneurial. And you're like, yeah, I am, but I can't come up with that idea.
Yeah.
So
it's writer's block for a business, an entrepreneur.
And it was that, and I knew I wanted to do it, and I knew, the skills that I'd learned through tech, and I think my role became very much, everything, working with developers, through to sort of marketing, operational, and then the pandemic hit, and that was suddenly for the restaurant sector.
Yeah.
Just mad. I remember getting calls from clients being like, "Oh my, what is about to happen?"
Yeah, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, and it was like, I remember one of my restaurant clients saying that night they had arranged for builders to come in and basically gut this restaurant and turn it into delivery only, because they realised that was the only way they're going to survive. So, and then in the UK we had furlough. so I was off work for 6 months, paid by the government. It was very nice.
Yeah.
It's a once in a lifetime, thing that probably will never happen again. I think we're going to pay for it forever.
Yeah.
But for me, that put the brakes on. I suddenly had been, almost 10 years of work. And I started work when I was 17, 10 years of work, and just not really ever taken much holiday or anything. And suddenly you're at home, locked up, and you got nothing to do. So a lot of time out on the bike, because that was the only reason we were allowed to leave the house, because of exercise.
Okay.
And so at the start of the pandemic, I still drank, and I found for me that anxiety was a big trigger from alcohol. So I decided to just go, do you know what? I drink alcoholic drinks because I like the flavour and taste, not because of the alcohol. So that's when I cut it out, and that's when I came up with the idea of the app. So with the love of technology, and knowing like Untapped and Vivino and all
so
these...
Untapped is a beer app. Vivino is a wine app where people can get information.
Yeah. And I just loved this. I like what they did. You can go on, you can discover different beers, you can discover where to get them and everything. And I just thought, hang on, where is this in the alcohol-free world? There is, as you know, so many products, and actually when I first came up with the idea, it was July 2020, and I came up with the idea and I went, right, I'm going to do it. And 2 days later I had the designs done, and a week later it was in development. Then
you were just cooking with gas, moving.
And at that point I hadn't spoken to anyone about it. Probably did like the least market research, but I just went, I know that this will work, because I know that the alcohol free trend is not going to go away. It's not a trend, is it? It's that the lifestyle is not going away. More people are deciding whether to cut back or whether to stop drinking completely. People are changing their habits, and the pandemic massively accelerated that. A bit like the plant-based, that's had a massive growth, and gluten-free, and we are in this next phase of alcohol-free. So I was like, started development, and 16 weeks later we launched.
That's amazing. But going from not knowing what exactly to do, then once that spark hit, it was almost like it was been building. It was ready.
Yeah. And I mean, I locked myself in a room for 2 days working out the whole, like, how is it all gonna hang together? Because what I didn't want is just it to be a directory of drinks and that's it. I wanted it to be, so much more. So for those listening that don't know the app, you can download it. When you download it, you then sign up. You can then select preferences, so you can find drinks through your preferences. So if you like red wine, you can filter for red wine. But I wanted to extend it further than that. So I wanted it to go, okay, I like a red wine and I want it from South Africa, and I want it to be completely alcohol free, or I want it to be, up to 0.5. And so I wanted all this, what does it pair well in food? As much information as if I wanted to find it, I could find the relevant stuff, and then where to buy it. So initially what we launched is where to buy it online. And which was quite timely, because obviously everything was closed. So all the restaurants were closed.
It's either nothing or buy it online.
Yeah. So I had this vision that I still wanted it to be that guide that you could go, I'm here in London, or I'm in this city,
Yeah.
soon to be when we launch it in the US. I'm here. What's around me? Where serves alcohol-free drinks? What drinks do they serve? Or I want to try a specific drink. I want to try Naughty. Where can I go to either buy it physical in a shop, or where can I buy it or can get it served in a restaurant? So that's something we launched in about July last year.
Okay.
In the UK, and working with people I'd previously worked with in the restaurant game, to working with the brands, to go actually building out that map of data of where's stocking stuff. And what I love with it is, and because I never did that market research, I love when people we sponsored a boat party recently, and it was so nice to hear people who use the app, they're like, oh, when I go to this place, I plan my route around it.
That's amazing. Like, that's what you want to hear after envisioning this kind of solution or experience.
And that for me was like, it makes it very rewarding that's what you envisaged, that's what you wanted to create, and that's what it's
awesome.
being used for.
Yeah.
And then the other thing we have is reviews. So
right.
we have some like super users who have done like hundreds of reviews, and like they're nagging me. They're like, this exclusive beer that's like been in this small batch, why is it not on your app? I'm like, but they just want to review it. They just want that.
Your fans.
Like,
these are your fans.
Yeah. And we have badges and that kind of stuff, and we have a couple of users who have hit 100 reviews each.
That's amazing.
Yeah, one of them even went out to buy a product specifically so he could hit his 100. So he did get a prize. I thought that was worthy of a prize.
Yeah.
But yes.
That's amazing. And I mean, interested to hear, the customers or the users of the app, but also, I mean, for it to have that ability or that experience, you need brands with all the information of the various products for alcohol-free wines and beers and sparklings and ready-to-drinks, and also the retailers, the pubs and grocery, online channels. How did you go from, 16 weeks, or you've got the app, you know that people will be interested in it maybe as a concept, but it's not just about the technology. You need the information, and you need those partners to really kind of engage with you. How did you, and coming from the restaurant world, like, how did you start? Like, was there a couple of folks that you worked with at the beginning? Like, how did you build up some collaboration with your partners to kind of get it to the point that then the users are like, wow, these are cool things, and starting to rate, and like, how did it all start to kind of come together?
So we're probably 8 weeks into the development, and I then asked the development company, I said, so how are we going to get the information in? That's the part I hadn't thought about. And he was like, well, you could enter it direct into the database. I was like, no, we won't be
that sounds like
that.
what a developer would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you never told us that was a requirement.
Yeah. I learned a lesson very quickly about developers and requirements, and developers and entrepreneurs, I think, are very different breeds of people.
Yeah.
But so initially we said, right, okay, let's create a portal or a platform where the brands can log in and enter all their information about the brand, and then all the information about their products. So we developed this, probably it was about week 10, week 12. And then it was at this point that I was like, I have no idea whether the brands are gonna want to play ball. Like, for me, it was like, I don't know. So we reached out. I think the first 3 spirits, Cedars, and who is it? I think Lucky Saint were like the first ones to come back and say yes. And the thing is, as soon as you've got a few names, you can then drop that into emails and
Sure.
go, oh, we've got these guys on board.
Yeah.
And it was that snowball effect. And, you know, we owe a lot to the brands about, you know, them promoting it and
Right.
them, you know, what we did in the early days is as soon as someone said, you know, they're on the app and they upload the products, we straight away, without saying please post this, just sent them a image to put on their social media to promote the app.
Oh, nice.
So
Yeah.
that way, yeah, we didn't charge them to put their information on,
Right.
on the app, but in return, if they can promote the app, then
Beautiful. Yeah.
that helps.
Makes
build.
perfect sense. Good idea.
So yeah, in the early days, like, so we when we launched December 2020, really January 2020, 2021, and at that point, you know, we only probably had, I would say, 100 products on the app. You know, it was I'd got it to the point where I was like, I'd launched it, we had a good amount, but I remember a very early person going onto the app, and you just launched it, and they left a review and they said, I've got more products in my shed. And I was like, oh, do you know how much work?
Yeah.
You know, you just spent 16 weeks flat out getting this out.
It takes them 16 weeks. It took him 16 seconds to type that out.
I know, and it is, but do you know what? That you can take it in two ways. You can either get really disheartened by it, or you just say that's feedback, and we're gonna run with that. And
You got to, as an entrepreneur and as a, you know, work in with applications, but businesses as well, with or without a mobile app. You know, it's the only way forward, because the customer is helping you drive what the value is going to be for a broader and broader group of people.
Yeah, and I think and that is it. And I think we're always, you know, there was a lot of people when people left a review, I always encourage, send us an email, you know, because I want to know what a user wants. I don't want to know what Jonny wants on his phone. I want to know what users of the app want, because I can think it's the best idea in the world, but if the user's going to tell me they're never going to use it, then there's no point.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is how we got it to that stage. And then when you sign up for the app, you can see which country, you basically select a country that you're from.
Because you've then gone to obviously different countries with different levels of execution. So where else is the app now?
So the app so UK is where we started, and then the 1st of April 2021 we launched in the US. Then we end of April we launched in Australia, and then end of August we launched in Canada.
Yeah.
So we, you know, it's funny. It's not until probably the last couple of weeks, Chris, that I've really sat back and gone, whoa.
Yeah.
That was 18 months of there was a lot achieved. You know, there was
Absolutely.
a lot. And I think but there was a lot of sleepless nights, you know, and a lot of, you know, going. I mean, I left my job. That's the bit I probably missed out. I did a round 2 and quit my job.
Oh,
again.
you quit another job. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Don't worry, I won't tell your parents.
Yeah. I think that one they were okay with. But I think, then I basically got to the point of going, if this app is going to succeed, it has to have time. Yeah, it can't be on the side.
Yeah.
It can't just be a little hobby that, you know, you can't do that. You can't, you know, with something so big. And I thought, right, we're going to take the opportunity and we'll run with it.
Yeah. And I think that's where, I mean, I can appreciate that, or can know exactly what you're talking about. And, you know, now you've got a lot of the foundations, and that some of it is getting back out there to talk to restaurant owners and retail establishments. In the US, as you know, there's a lot of really high quality alcohol-free retail establishments that are there purely to educate and talk to customers about all the different products. Like, our small showroom here, but dozens and dozens and dozens all across the country, and some great entrepreneurs there. You know, we've just kind of really come together, and now, you know, I know we'll be spending more time through the summer and fall. It's for those of you listening, it is May 2022. So the restaurants are reopening. You know, people are really kind of getting back out there. I can say from, you know, experience that people are getting back on planes. People are kind of, you know, opening up. What do you see as maybe some of the things that in the US might be where you're excited about in terms of bringing the application and the platform to another level in terms of, you know, maybe what's different here? And then also, as you mentioned, in Canada and Australia, you know, what are the 2 or 3 things you're most excited about in terms of, you know, this next chapter?
So I think, so the one first comment is that every market is very different.
Right.
You know, the US, you know, so in the UK, I can go into our grocery stores and I can buy alcoholic products. And,
Right.
you know, so where obviously in the US, in certain parts of the US, in Canada and Australia, you know, that's not the case.
Yeah, it's state by state or province by province.
So that's a very different, you know, in the UK, we don't have alcohol-free bottle shops.
Right.
That's there was a pop-up recently, and that they did really well, and it was great for the brand and everything. But I can go to the grocery store over here and we've got aisles.
So like Marks and Sparks or Tesco or wherever.
Yeah, and they are expanding constantly, and they're fine. You know, they started with, you know, the big brands, but they're now realizing these, you know, these medium and small brands that are coming out. So yeah, I just thought I'd say that because it's interesting that every market, you know, is different. But I think that's what's exciting for what we want to do with the app is, you know, there's lots of bottle shops, those alcohol-free bottle shops, as I say, run by entrepreneurs. How can we connect those? How can we, you know, I want to go on my app and I want to discover where I can buy a certain product. Is it available? And then how can we build that out? So, you know, someone tries a product in a restaurant, really likes it, adds it to their wish list or their favorites.
Yeah.
And where can they then buy it? Do they want to buy it online, or do they want to buy it in, you know, one of the bottle shops?
They'd like to see it in their local town, available for home purchase or something like that.
Yeah. And so that, you know, for me, one of the most exciting things is launching that places part, because I know the power of it, and I know, you know, brands want to get people trying drinks as well, and that's the great thing.
I mean, we're selling something that liquid on lips. They say you want people. These beverages, you really need to taste them and experience them. And I always say, like, the app is these phones that everyone's carrying around now. Connect your digital world with your real world. I'm out walking on the street, and with the places that you've built, if we can, you know, show somebody's like, hey, I'm on 14th Street and I'm interested in bringing something home. Hey, you're like, you're probably 16 blocks from Spirited Away in Nolita in Manhattan, or wherever you happen to be, or a restaurant where, you know, you might be out with your friends. I always think there's a group of friends and everyone's had that experience, like, okay, we're going to go eat. Where does anybody want to go? I don't care. Where do you want to go? I don't care. Where do you want to go? Well, if you're not drinking and the door's kind of open, you can say, well, actually, I'd like to go to, you know, here in Madison, it might be Moxie's because they have athletic beer. And I know that. And hey, if you guys, nobody wants that. Everyone hates that conversation. So yeah, I'm going to maybe be the decider in terms of my group. And if we can help with that, and then they're having a better experience. That's real.
And that is it. And that's, you know, having that experience, being able to choose it. But also, like, I don't know, if you're at a restaurant and you've got a choice of 2 beers, or 2 drinks, you could go on the app and go, okay, how are they rated? You know, if you've never tried them before, you know, because of all the reviews, you know, we have a star rating against most products. So the way we work is a product doesn't get a star rating until 5 people have reviewed it.
Yes.
So it's fair. And so, but, you know, being able to go, okay, what is that product? You know, see it. And so there's there's different ways that you can use the app, and that's what, you know, I find.
Yeah. And also find out, we'll learn more about maybe ways that we hadn't really thought of, use cases where it's like, wow, I never thought of that. And then we can look at that and say, okay, well, maybe that's something we can share with others. So no, I'm really excited. I know it's been great getting to know you and working with you on even to the small amount we have over these last few months. I'm 10 times, 100 times more excited about what we'll be doing as this market grows, as the places, you know, I think I've mentioned it on the podcast before, but, you know, North America, the United States in particular, is probably, I say, you know, some people say a few years behind. I think it's like 5+ years behind in terms of where the UK is, and to some extent Europe and other countries, but the UK in particular, in the adoption and the normalization, I guess, for lack of a better word, of the alcohol-free adult beverage segment. So I think the fact that you and your app was innovated out of the UK, and some of the producers that we work with and people in the community are all right there with you in the UK or in London, I think speaks to that. So in some ways, it's bringing that experience and that maturation of adult alcohol-free to, yes, the United States and Canada, where Better Rhodes is now, but, you know, beyond, and also making sure that people in the UK know that, you know, we're excited about seeing how we can further the Better Rhodes and Better Without experience in the UK, in Europe. I know we've, you know, even since we've started to work together, had some calls with one of the online stores in Australia, and then I think Middle East has always been one that's been of interest, and then South Africa, and then and onwards from there, Asia even more broadly. So it's super exciting. Thank you for sharing the story. And yeah, for those who are listening, you're going to be seeing more from us in terms of what we're planning to do with the app and services, really more generally for consumers and retailers and our makers. I always say sometimes Better Rhodes, and to some extent Better Without, you know, our brands wouldn't exist if the makers didn't exist. So it's really about the beverage and the experience. So if you have any questions, we have a new email address, services@betterrhodes.com. Feel free to check it out, or the page on our website where you can learn more about the app and download. Give us your thoughts, give us your suggestions. Hope you've enjoyed the story. Jonny, thank you for telling it.
Thank you for
joining the team, and onwards and upwards. It was super exciting to connect with you. I actually, to really hear your story from the end, I think I knew you'd quit one job, but I didn't know you'd quit two. So thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Okay, guys. Thanks. Take care. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Alcohol Free Radio. We'd love to hear from you. Send us a message on social media or through email at hello@betterrhodes.com. Great to be here with you all together. Take care.